I've been on a lot of first dates in the past year, and it just seems like some men have a really hard time relaxing and making a good first impression because they're so nervous. What has worked for you? What do you think would work? Edit 1. Fellow feminists, search for my username. I'm not asking my question because I feel like it's a woman's responsibility to manage a man's emotions. I'm asking because I'd like to have a better time on dates with men who are too nervous to relax and be themselves. As the mother of a 12-year-old boy who is just starting to form his opinions about girls, I'd like him to live in a world where those he's dating care about his emotions and vice versa. Edit 2. I wasn't sold on the suggestion at first, but after the 75th comment suggesting it, I think I may give it a shot. Edit 3. Men and others who think nervousness in men makes them weak. I'm sorry you were hurt. Story 1. As a rule, guys are nervous because they are worried that you're not going to like them, and you're not going to like their date activity. Also, thoughts like, I should be feeling nervous, or she won't like me, make me all the more nervous. To counteract this, words of affirmation, I'm having a great time, thanks for taking me out. Also, calling it out or normalizing the nerves. Are you nervous? So am I. Dating can be stressful, or something more expressive. Physical touch and a bonus if it's like short eye contact so he knows it's purposeful. Examples. Grab his hand and give him a smile, or touch his arm. This is the most powerful in my opinion. Story 2. As a straight man, I think our assumption is that we're supposed to be spending the whole date asking thoughtful questions and learning everything about her while still trying to seem like an impressive catch. That's really nerve-wracking. I might suggest planning a date that doesn't initially require constant face-to-face conversation. Consider doing something more active that doesn't force the two of you to sit in a quiet environment, awkwardly staring at each other and trying to come up with something to talk about the whole time. Story 3. I've met many women who suffer from this also. Some people aren't great conversationalists, are introverted, and coupled with the pressure of trying to be fun and interesting, it's no wonder so many people struggle with first dates. Typically, I do something activity-based where we can talk at the same time, but conversation isn't the sole focus. Dinner or a drink can be an absolute nightmare because conversation is literally the only thing you can do, and some people spend the whole date thinking frantically of the next thing to say. You see people often asking, what should I ask on the date? This type of anxiety often means the date is doomed before it starts. I'm a naturally silly person, so it's always easy for me to lighten the mood before getting into the trap of interview-style questions. Even then, it sometimes can be really hard work. Story 4. My first date with my current boyfriend went really well, but as the date moved along, I noticed that he was a little bit on edge. I could see he was trying to gather the courage to kiss me. He tried to go for it 3 separate times, so in the end, I just asked him what he was trying to do. He told me he wanted to kiss me, but was too shy to just go for it. I told him to do it, and I leaned in closer to him. We've been together a few months now, and he has thanked me for being so frank and upfront about what he wanted. Edit because I feel like I didn't elaborate very well. Sometimes just being open and upfront about what you want makes things so much easier. Story 5. On the first date with my girlfriend, it turns out she was a little intimidated by me. The beginning was a little awkward because of it, but I ended up tripping over a chunk of sidewalk as we were walking, and at that moment, she realized I'm not perfect and I'm not as scary as she thought I was, and she opened up more. I'm not saying trip and fall, but maybe create a situation where you both can laugh at yourselves so he wouldn't be so nervous. Like spill some water on yourself while taking a drink or drop some mustard on your shirt. Story 6. Not a man, but back when I used to date a lot, the guys I went out with always said that I was easy to talk to because I would just lead the conversation right from the beginning. I never waited for them to take the initiative unless I could tell there was something they felt like saying. In that way, conversation came very easily with no awkward pauses, and when they then relaxed and felt comfortable around me, they would naturally take the lead. Story 7. Express that you are also nervous. Make attempts to lead the conversation. Don't leave all the talking up to the guy. Give some courtesy laughs early on at little things just to ease the tension. If you are attracted to the guy, say so early. A lot of tension for a guy comes from trying to figure out if someone is legitimately interested or just looking for a meal ticket. Make your intentions known early, and for God's sake, don't hint around and assume he knows you're interested. Just tell the guy because you could be terrible at dropping hints, or he might be terrible at catching them. So don't play that game. These are just a few small things that are helpful. Story 8. The short answer is help along. Don't act as if you're the customer and the guy is the supplier. I'm not talking about money and paying for stuff. I mean activities, energy, seeing if there is a connection here. It's when the woman signals that all of that stuff is the guy's job that the date stops being fun and becomes a creative presentation to a client. Story 9. Sometimes a touch on the hand, arm, or shoulder can release the anxiety. If you are having a drink or talking and something funny comes up, just laugh and put your hand on him momentarily while you laugh. Story 10. In my experience, a lot of women expect the man to initiate every discussion, which can honestly be kind of irritating. It's hard to be the sole person thinking up and deciding what we should talk about. If you find yourself doing this, try to take some of the load off of him so he won't feel so pressured. Story 11. Please actually have a conversation, and you can certainly take some of the pressure off thinking of topics to talk about. And for God's sake, if you're actually not having a good time and know it isn't going to lead to another date, say so. Spending the next week or so in your head trying to figure out why I had a great time, we should do this again, turned into being ghosted a couple of days later is not an enjoyable activity. Story 12. I just had a date with someone who is pretty outspoken and extroverted, and I am fairly introverted until I get to know you just a bit. Before the first date, she was telling me how important first impressions are to her. No pressure there. On the second date, she called me out a couple of times for being introverted. I was about 50% of what I can be. Do not do either of those to your date. It has really knocked down my interest in her, which was pretty high before. Story 13. Took a date paintballing one time. We both had a lot of fun. She got pretty competitive in the second round. Also, it's fun to go get drinks afterward while still all painted up and talk about the game and so on. Story 14. If you're having a nice night, say so. If you're glad we met up, say so. If you think we are cute or handsome or whatever, say so. Tell us you are or we're nervous too. Commiseration is a powerful antidote. Story 15. I'd say ask questions and be engaged. I've been on a few dates where I ask all the questions, and it quickly gets awkward because I'm the only one actually putting effort in. Story 16. I'm an absolute nervous wreck on dates. I try to appear relaxed and confident, but inside I'm constantly second-guessing everything I'm doing and saying, terrified that I'm blowing it. Any moment of silence is filled with my brain replaying everything or wondering why she agreed to spend time with me. I always end the date feeling like I failed. So I'll say, I had fun, good night, and I won't bother calling her again. There's a time in life when you learn how to do all this stuff, but I was really late to the party. By the time I was eager to learn, I might as well have tried out for admittance to the Juilliard School on a musical instrument I don't know how to hold properly, let alone play. I'm 45 and still mostly clueless. The only thing I can say is, if my dates communicated that they really wanted to be there, especially enjoyed my company, and initiated enough physical contact that I got a sense I was wanted but knew where the boundaries were, I could at least get out of my head, wiping out most of the insecurity. Story 17. Be nervous. If both are nervous, it actually calms me down. I have self-diagnosed social anxiety. I get nervous when it's my turn to greet the cashier at the store. So imagine dates. Story 18. This answer might make me seem unkind, but I will share anyway because it helped me. I am a woman, by the way. I am a relatively attractive person, not Megan Fox, but you get the idea. I felt it was respectful to try to look nice for the other person when I went on a date. So I would get dressed up, do my makeup really nicely, and show up to these first dates, and the guys often had trouble speaking to me. They were stuttering, silent, and almost afraid to talk to me. The first few times it was sweet, but it kept happening, and it eventually got to the point where I was actually hindering the date because there was no connection. It really started to get on my nerves. We would meet up, I would carry the conversation because the guy I met was too flustered, and then it felt like the whole first date was wasted and I kept getting more frustrated. So, I adopted a new policy, try to look nice for the date but not too nice. The guys are nervous just like we are, and sometimes dressing to the nines can backfire. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule, but this was not something I expected when I was dating, so I want to share it with others it might help. Story 19. You have to realize that guys get a lot less attention romantically than women. You say you've had a lot of first dates in the past year? You probably could have had more, right? And if your date tonight doesn't go great, you can get another one next week pretty easily, right? Most, if not all, the guys you dated probably had a lot more riding on that date than you had because they had and have nowhere near the prospects you have. Dating is an entirely different game for men in that dates are more scarce, hence the nervousness. The biggest eye-opener I ever had was sitting beside a female friend while she was on Tinder. Nearly every dude she swiped right on, she got a match. Me? I'm lucky to get a match every 20 to 30 swipes. As to how to make the dude more comfortable, tell him you're enjoying yourself. Tell him he looks great. Tell him this was a great place for a date. Tell him you're a little nervous and show up on time. Don't rely on your body language to tell him these things or anything else you want to convey. We are notoriously bad at reading signs. Something I had to put effort into learning. Story 20. If I were on a date with a girl and she said, "You don't have to try so hard, just relax," I would probably feel a lot less nervous. Inherently, I would feel like I have to be very impressive and not super boring, but those words would basically tell me she's not looking to be impressed because she likes me too. This isn't to say you should call yourself easy, but it would relieve a lot of the stress from the guy. Story 21. Honestly, the best thing is acting like you want to be there. You do not have to jump straight for his zipper or tell him you love him, but be engaged, interested, and expressive. There is nothing worse than being on a date where the woman seems like she would rather be literally anywhere else but with me, and that is when the nerves hit me the most. Do not be afraid to take the lead in small ways like asking questions rather than just responding, keeping the conversation going, or making suggestions for things like activities or drinks and food. I imagine most guys' nerves stem from expectations being largely on them for a first date, so subtly reframing it to be a mutual effort really helps. Story 22. Non-traditional dates don't have to be boring. Avoid going to a dinner or a movie. You know what's really awkward? Sitting there, stuffing your mouth while watching another person sit there and fill their mouth, attempting to fake small talk about nothing between bites. Go to a local park or something. Visit a carnival, circus, or entertainment center. Go to a flea market or something similar. You need an activity where there is a central point you can both return to. Things become awkward when a conversation ends and there's nothing to either transition into or return to, so you need to plan the date around an activity which you can use as a springboard. Story 23. My wife told me about 30 minutes into our first date that she wasn't so sure about it when I asked her out. She gave me a kiss on the cheek and whispered she was glad she came into my ear. Story 24. Went on a date one time with a girl I had just met. I was on the phone with her to set it up and asked if she was going to bring any of her friends or if she wanted me to bring some of mine. She said, "Don't worry about it. I already like you." For whatever reason, that took a lot of the nerves away, and we were able to go out and have a great time. Some people have a tendency to play games when dating, and some people have a tendency to read into or overanalyze everything. I think direct and clear communication helps things go much more smoothly. Story 25. For me, it's important to pick where to go and be 100% clear as to what acceptable advances are. I'm a man the size of a National Football League lineman, so first dates are super nerve-wracking for me since I don't want to seem threatening despite my stature. I insist that women pick the venue for the first date so they're more comfortable. I'll happily share some of my favorite places as soon as a woman is comfortable enough with me, but not for the first meeting. Along with that, I won't initiate any physical contact that isn't broadly indicated as welcome. A great example was at the end of a first date. A woman and I were saying goodbye outside of the restaurant, and she threw her arms open wide for a hug. I was relieved to know that hugging her goodbye was welcome, and it made it much easier for me to call for a second date. Story 26. Show that you are receptive to his efforts. If he asks questions, do not just go with one-word answers. Ask about him. It really goes both ways. Ask what they did that week, what upcoming plans they have, and so on. The best dates are not where someone has surprise after surprise. It is more where you can have some fun while getting to know someone. Playing mini golf is great and things like that. Doing something but still able to talk. The activity can lead the conversation but does not have to factor in. Most importantly, do not laugh at everything like your family will die if he does not like you. Be a good version of yourself, but still yourself. He wants to meet you, not whoever Cosmopolitan said he would like. Story 27. Eye contact is important. Be straightforward. Tell him what you are feeling and don't leave him guessing. If you are having fun or you want to do something, speak up. A small victory for him, like you laughing at a bad joke or telling him you were having fun, can mean a lot, even if you were just happy he was on time or glad to see him. A small boost of confidence early on goes a long way. Physical contact is also a great way to relax. Do whatever you are comfortable with. Nothing distracts from the fear of failure quite like the feeling of progress. Make sure he knows your boundaries so he doesn't think it's a cue to move fast if that's something you don't want.